Hey friends, let's talk about Docker and Django today. I know Docker can feel confusing at first, but don't worry, we'll take it step by step. By the end of this, you have a Django app running in a container. Okay, let's look at this file. It's like a recipe for baking a cake, but in this case, we are building a Docker container. The first line here says from Python 3.13. This just says, hey Docker, start with a plain Python 3.13 image. Next, we'll make a folder called app in the container. This tells Docker all our code will live here. And then in our next step, we will make the directory that we've created a working directory. Fun fact, workdir automatically creates the folder, so you don't need to learn mkdir/app. But I left it here so you know and see what's happening. These two lines of code are like little notes to Python. The first note says, Python, don't clutter my app with temporary files. The second one says, show me the logs right now, don't wait. Without these, debugging feels like yelling into a void. I've been there. The next command is to upgrade pip. Always upgrade pip first. Old pip can cause drama. Then we are going to copy our requirements.txt file into our app directory. After that, we are going to install all our dependencies. Pro tip, copy your requirements.txt file first so Docker doesn't reinstall everything every time you change your code. Another thing is to make sure that the requirements.txt file is available. If you don't have a requirements.txt file, then what you need to do is first of all, make sure you have a virtual environment. And then after you have activated your virtual environment and you know you've installed all the dependencies and packages that you want to have this requirement.txt file, you need to learn pip freeze this allow sign, and then since we want to freeze it to a txt file, we're going to specify the file like that. So I'm going to delete this first and then run this. So you can see it has created and all our dependencies are going to be inside here once it finalizes here. So right now you can see all these are my dependencies. Now going back to the Docker file, we have copied the requirements.txt file into our app directory, and then we are installing every dependency with this line of code. Now copy all your code into the container. But wait, it's very important to add a Docker ignore file to skip junk file like pycache or secrets. Otherwise, Docker copies everything, even things that were not supposed to be copied inside your container. Okay, so for the Docker ignore, I'm just going to create a small file for the Docker ignore, but there are a lot of things that you can include in your Docker ignore. I'm going to create the file, and the name of the file should be Docker ignore, and like git ignore, we can add this. But git ignore for Django will have a lot of files included in here. Just to be minimalistic, I'll just include these two. And then in the Docker ignore as well, I am going to include these two as well. So I'm going to save that and we are going to go back to our Docker file. So we've copied everything into our app. We've ignored some of the things that we need to ignore. Another important thing that I didn't mention here is this minus no cache dir. When you learn pip install, Python secretly stores downloaded packages in a cache folder. When you add minus no cache dir, which is this one, you tell pip, don't keep these packages after installing them. I won't need them again. Without it, your Docker image grows bigger for no reason. So the cache could also contain old versions of packages from previous builds. So that's a pro tip as well. So let's go to the next command in our Docker file. Expose port 8000. It's like putting an open sticker on the container, but you still need to tell Docker to actually open it when you run the container. So when running the container, we're also going to see that we're going to provide a specific port for Docker to use. Finally, the command to start Django. So we've included Python manage.py, run server, and then we've included 0.0.0.0, and then we've included the port 8000. That 0.0.0.0 is magic. It means let people outside the container see this app. Without it, your app is like hiding under a blanket. So that's it for our Docker file. Now it's time to build the container. I'll make sure I have saved everything, and then I'll go into my command line and I'll run the command docker build -t Django app. This is the name of the image. You can provide any name, and then we're going to include the period. So the period is to indicate that our Docker file is within this directory. So let's build our image. As you can see, our build process has finished successfully. So now we can go ahead and run our Docker image. So to run your Docker image, first of all, let's confirm that the image has been created under the name that we provided. So we are going to say Docker image list. And then you can see I have all these images, but this is the image that we are looking at. And you can see the image size is 1.08 GB. You can see I have another image here, which is 221 MB. This is just because in the next video, I'm going to talk about how you can make this Docker file production ready. And some of the things that we're going to do is we're going to add certain instructions to make sure, or leave some files just to make sure that we minimize on the image size. So that's something that we're going to explore in the next video. But now, since we have confirmed that the image is there, we can go ahead and learn our image. So to learn our image, we need to learn the command docker learn -p, which stands for port 8000 8000. So here we are specifying that this is going to run on port 8000. So externally, people are going to access it on port 8000, and internally, it's also going to be accessed on port 8000. And this is the image that we want to run. So let's go ahead and run it. Now we're going to go ahead and open our browser on localhost port 8000. So as you can see, this is now running on port 8000. But yeah, we are getting an error here. And if you're familiar with Django, you know that when it complains like this, all we need to do is to add this to our allowed host. And you can find that in your settings.py file if you're not familiar with Django. Okay, so if you have a question, let's say, can I use this for production? The quick answer is no. This command is for development purposes only. For production, we need a WSGI server like GUnit. I'll cover that in the next video. If this helped you, give the video a thumbs up. It means a lot. Subscribe if you want more no stress DevOps tutorials. Drop questions below, and See you next time.